Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 241, and it's a strange one because not only are we going live on a Friday, odd, going live at 4:30 p.m., odd, trade deadline day, which a lot of odd things happened today, some of which we thought, okay, this is normal, right? Some of the names that we thought were going to go. Some names we thought, well, it'd have to be an enormous return to go, and then some names that nothing even happened. So just a really strange day today.
Yes, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Not even just today either. Like the whole week there was a good amount of trades and movement going on from Mike Grier's office. So there was a lot of players that left San Jose more than
Unreal.
I thought, I think.
Yeah. I think,
Maybe.
and I can only speak for X or Twitter or whatever, you're on the other platforms, but there was an uproar on said platforms.
About Zetterlund?
People were, we're not going to say names just yet, are we? Okay, so lots of names, obviously. But yes, the people were maybe revolting against GM Mike Grier a little bit today. And we'll dig into all that stuff. In fact, let's just dive right in. So the first guy here that we're going to talk about, unless you wanted to say something else. No? Good.
No.
It was a trade. Vitek Vanecek going to the Florida Panthers. Now, this is the first of two trades that happened with the Florida Panthers. So Vitek Vanecek on his way out, getting an opportunity to play for a Stanley Cup. And in return, we get 6'5", 216-pound right wing / center Patrick. I believe it's pronounced Giles.
Oh, Giles.
It's either Giles, Gillies, or Gillies. I'm going to say Giles.
Gillies is
I'm
great.
just making things up as I go along here. So it could
I
have
don't
been
think
Johnson.
it's Gillies, but I want it to be so bad.
Anyway, yes, Giles, I believe is how you pronounce this. Now, he is undrafted out of, can you guess where?
Boston.
Of course, Boston College. Goodness gracious. I had the thought that maybe Mike Grier is just collecting as many Bostonians as humanly possible.
And people over 6'4".
Yes, they're going to let in a lot of big guys. So this guy here, again, undrafted out of Boston College, 26 years old, restricted free agent, signed through 2026. So we've got him not for this season alone, but for the next season. And when it expires, he will be a restricted free agent, meaning we do hold the rights. So there's that. But he had 9 games in the show, and he's got no points to show for it. He's not exactly a point-gathering type of player, though, but that is the stat on him. With the Charlotte Checkers, however, a lot of experience in the AHL. 187 games played, 44 points, and he projects as a possible fourth-line center.
So protection for
Yes.
Celebrini. But it can also play.
They'll be on different lines,
Well, yeah, but
a response guy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to come out, and if you touch any of our young prospects, Smith, Celebrini, Eklund maybe's in there too.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay for it, which I think this is kind of Grier's MO. He's kind of an old school hockey guy, wants some bruisers and big bodies out there. So this definitely fits his type. Obviously a Boston guy too. So
Yeah.
I don't expect a lot out of this guy other than fourth line center. I mean, if he won faceoffs, it sucks because you trade Nico Sturm away as your fourth line center, and he has the most faceoff wins in the NHL. I didn't realize that at the time he got traded. So obviously you're not going to replace that. You're not going to get anyone better than that at the faceoff circle. But if he can somewhat do that, I think maybe this guy could be a little bit productive for the Sharks. Productive in a non-point scoring way, and doing other things outside of scoring. And
you did bring up Nico Sturm. Of course, he was the second of the trades that happened with the Florida Panthers between the Sharks and the Panthers. This one, a 7th round went with Nico Sturm, and this 7th round was in 2027, in return getting a 2026 4th round selection.
Yeah.
So
keep in mind the years there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the 27 7th round selection. I mean, a 7th round selection, that's not a make or break a team, right? That's not going to do anything. But on top of that, the Sharks should be better in the standings in 2 seasons from now.
Look at that beautiful. Can you put him up one more time? look at that. Look at that guy right there. Huh? Captain of my heart. I don't know what's going on with his forehead. He's got a little bump there, but it's probably just from all the hard work.
Right.
Kiss his puck behind you.
Oh, yeah. Is that his
Don't
puck?
tempt me. Yeah, that's his puck right there.
Going to the Stanley Cup reigning champions.
Yes.
Back-to-back Stanley Cup finalists.
Mm-hmm.
Joining a team where he will be the best face-off guy on the team. So he's going to be very valuable to them. And they are without Kachuk.
Yeah.
So Florida did a lot of stuff today.
They did a lot.
They got Brad Marchand was another one. So they are it's kind of like the arms race today for all the big teams gearing up for their playoff runs.
Which is fantastic for them because they were already so heavily involved with rats in Florida, correct?
Yes.
So just fits right in. Anyway, yes. So those are the things that the trades rather that happened with the Florida Panthers today, or not today, but just with the Florida Panthers recently here. You wanted to say a little bit about Vitek Vanecek though, and the asset management, if you will, that is, and this will be a bit of a theme for the rest of the show, I think. The asset management with Vitek Vanecek.
Yeah, I think my computer's freezing up on me right now, but.
There's a lot going on today.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I cannot lie, it was a lot last.
My computer doesn't work. He was originally traded to San Jose for Capo Kakinen.
Yes.
He was traded with a 7th round pick. Is that correct? I think that's if I'm reading that correctly. But Capo Kakinen, what is he doing these days?
He's relaxing and collecting money.
He's not playing, right? So this is kind of like the Sharks are becoming a reclamation project for around the league for certain players. It's not always going to work. Georgiev is an example. Maybe that's still out. Maybe by next, or not by next season, but maybe they would be able to trade the rights to him, like during the draft, because he's going to be a free agent. But Vanecek is one. Walman is another one, which we'll get into in a little bit. Just the way that the Sharks bring in these players. Granlund's another one. That was kind of a throw-in, right, by Pittsburgh to just salary dump, and they ended up getting a first-round pick out of that from Dallas. So Mike Grier is doing excellent asset management for players that are not going to be part of the future of the Sharks. At least it doesn't look like they will be, because Granlund could come back this summer and didn't hint at it, but didn't close the door on it. So that's interesting to see. But he's taking players and turning those into prospects and or picks for the future for the Sharks. And we're going to get into all the stuff that he's gathering. But I wanted to touch on Vanecek specifically because Vanecek was yet another outcast coming out of New Jersey Devils, Blackwood being the other one. Blackwood comes to San Jose, and I think the Sharks traded a 3rd-round draft pick, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. 5th-round draft pick? It was 5th-round draft pick. Gets him, plays for 2 seasons with the Sharks. They completely, he is on, obviously he's on a good team now in Colorado, but his save percentage is from the top in the league. He's one of the best goalies in the league.
And he was doing extremely well on the Sharks regardless, so it's not just like the team in front of him just got better and his numbers jumped. He played himself into a better position.
Yes, he got better, and he turned that into a new contract extension too at Colorado with a very good team. So he's going to be another reclamation project success for Mike Grier and turning them into assets. Jake Walman, another one we'll get into.
We'll get into
just all of these guys that were coming into San Jose. A lot of these teams dumped them into San Jose because they needed a salary cap dump, and Mike Grier is turning those dumps into gold, if you will.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Rephrase that, please. Dear God. Okay. Pittsburgh Penguins is another trade partner that we had here.
Yes.
This one, a 2028 5th from the Sharks going to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, again, interesting, the 2028, right? Again, so far down the road, who really cares? We can always reclaim these types of picks later on down the road. And coming back, now wait a minute, before we show the graphic, I want you to imagine that you are a rough and tumble type of player, okay? And you're skating up to Macklin Celebrini, and you're going to put him into the wall. And you give him a nice little shove. Boom, he gets hit. It hurt, right? And then you go, I feel good about myself. You turn around, and you look at this.
I don't want to hear about freaking fragile, okay?
You look at this. Are you kidding me? I think it looks like
it's
Nick.
It's hard to tell height.
That might be Nick.
How big is this man?
This is a 6'7".
That's without skates.
227 pounds. 6'7", 227. Right-handed.
He looks
defenseman.
Angry that you even took a picture of him.
I swear, look at this guy. I mean, if that's not a deterrent to stay away from the young players on this team, I don't know what is.
Is there a certain theme going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see another guy who's similarly built in a little bit here. But as it stands with this one here, Vincent Desharnais, I believe is how you pronounce that.
A right-handed shot defenseman.
Yes.
The Sharks were kind of lacking on their depth.
Yes.
Right? So another guy that's going to come in, very defensive defenseman.
And this is what you asked for, right?
Yes.
You wanted a defensive type of defenseman. This is him. So in short, his game is hits and block shots.
Now, can you imagine him next year getting paired with
Anyone.
what defenseman's up and
Luca
coming.
Cagnoni. yeah, tall and small.
Yeah, exactly. Little David and Goliath
Yeah,
on the same line. Imagine those two being paired up where you let him, do his thing, and Desharnais is gonna hold Desharnais. Desharnais is gonna hold the blue line.
It's kind of like Kater Gauthier, but it's Vincent Desharnais. I could be saying that entirely wrong, but that's how I want to say it.
I mean, just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
It's fantastic.
Anyway, so yes, let's see the book on Desharnais here again. 28 years old, signed through 2026. 44 games played. He's only got 3 points. Again, not known for his offensive prowess, but we just want to give the people the numbers, right? Yeah. So they know what they're getting here. He was traded from Vancouver to Pittsburgh, and this happened, I believe, on January 31st. So fairly recently. He's only been with them for, I think it was like 10 games or so. Mm-hmm. And I think he was scratched even like 3 of the previous 8. So he's not getting as much action. Now, I don't know if that's because, Pittsburgh was doing so hot.
A right-handed shot defenseman, he's paying Carlson
exactly.
and Letang.
Yeah, right. So he's probably not getting much. He's going to get a better opportunity here with the Sharks to at least get some more minutes. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily prove anything, but at least get some more minutes. And I think it's going to be a good thing for the Sharks that a guy like this gets those minutes, because it's going to be a deterrent. Look at this guy! Oh my God!
The Sharks are going to be a scary big team.
They are, and
with a mix of little guys, but mostly big.
The next time we request a player interview, it can't be him. It simply can't be him.
You'll be too scared.
I'll be too scared.
And you'll break your neck.
And I'll break my neck trying to look up at this guy. Oh my God!
Too tall for a camera.
Too tall for the camera.
Anyway, so that is what's going on the defensive side there. The trade with Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm happy with this one. Again, he's not going to be a point gatherer. We're fine with that. And what we talked about needing was a defensive player. Right. We got one. So
and that pick is 2 years.
Yes.
3 drafts down the road.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a long time away. So we're going to get into that as well. A little overview of what it looks like.
Moving on, we have the Edmonton Oilers, who got a very high talent player, I think, and they're going to be very happy with him. Obviously, for the Sharks, sad to see him go.
Yes.
But we're talking about Jake Walman, of course, the gritty man himself. he didn't get a chance to do it with the Sharks. That's okay. But man, we had that stat where we were showing how he's doing well, but everybody around him is enjoying it. Statistically, when he's on the ice, he makes everyone around him better. And I'm assuming it's going to be the same for the Edmonton Oilers. God help us all, because Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are good enough already. Now, coming back here, we've got a 2026 conditional first-round selection and forward Carl Berglund. Now, the 2026, the condition on that is if it's a top 12 pick. It's top 12 protected.
Right.
So if it's a top 12 pick, they have the option of saying you can have that. Like if it's number 11, okay, you can have that. Or they will give you the 2027 first round pick. And that is unprotected.
But also, if they trade that 2027 pick down the road to somebody else, the 26 one automatically sticks. So it doesn't get pushed.
Yes,
like to 28 or anything like that.
So right. So if they trade away the thing that it would turn into, we get 2026. Yeah. Okay. Carl Berglund is the other part of this. Now, Carl Berglund seems to be in the same vein as the previous player, which was Patrick. I'm trying to remember the last name.
Giles.
Or Giles. Giles, not Giles.
Gillies.
We're going to say them all, and we're going to get one of them right. He's kind of in the same vein. Again, potential fourth-line center for the Sharks, but going to be playing most likely with the Barracuda. And let's see, what other numbers do we have? 25 years old, restricted free agent, signed only through the end of this year, but he is restricted, so we have the rights to him still, which is fine.
The Sharks, it seems like Mike Grier likes to collect these kind of guys, third, fourth liner guys, but they're valuable because come trade deadline, teams are going to want them, right?
Yeah.
They're cheap, they're easier to add at the deadline, and you're going to get prospects or picks coming back your way to pay for these guys, which is exactly what he's doing.
And we'll get into those other trades. I know you guys are more interested in some of that other stuff, but we'll get there. I promise you. But just getting through these ones, Berglund, again, he has no NHL experience at the moment. He's played 63 games with Bakersfield Condors, 16 points.
Another thing that he's doing is he's getting guys for the Barracuda.
Yes.
So they're kind of gearing up for a very, very deep run for the Calder Cup, and this is another one of those players that looks like he's probably going to stick with the Barracuda, at least for now.
So my thought on this is that he's getting some of these players to help out the Barracuda and to play for the Barracuda in the case of injuries or whatever else, yes. But also, if for some reason, how many players do we have left on the Sharks, right? They probably might pull a couple guys up, and if they do, they still got some guys with AHL experience that are going to be able to play there. I think that's part of it as well. So pulling some guys from the AHL up to the NHL, opening up a couple roster spots, and then filling it with the guys that you just traded for, right? Yeah. So I think that's a big part of it as well. But again, a guy that can step into a fourth line role on the Sharks, especially on the Sharks, because let's get real, we don't have as many players to work with right now. So giving those guys an opportunity to get a little bit of NHL experience, but also help out the AHL level, I think it's not bad having those kind of tweeners as parts of these trades.
And we might see some of those higher end prospects kind of get called up at the end of the season here with the Sharks. So maybe some little sneak preview, I guess, and kind of give them a taste, like a cup of coffee, right? To go, okay, this is what it's really like at the NHL level. Now you're seeing the game speed in an actual game, not a preseason game, not practice, not anything else. And this is what you can now expect and go work on during the summer. We smile on it. What?
I'm just looking at some of the comments as well. Yeah. No, there's they're coming, guys. I promise you. Walman, you wanted to say a little bit about Walman here, and again, this is relating to asset management and the great job that Mike Grier has been doing.
Yet again, so for your memory's sake, the Detroit Red Wings traded Walman to the Sharks with a second-round pick in last year's draft.
Unreal.
They didn't, for future considerations, so AKA a bag of pucks. We don't want this guy, and here's for your troubles to take him a second-round pick. They used that pick for Leo Celine Wallenius. I'm
Very good.
Butchering his name? No?
Very good.
Thank you.
Much more difficult to say than Giles.
Thank you.
Well done.
Sharks took Walman. He played 50 games with the Sharks. That's it because of injuries. 50 games. Turned him into a 2026 first-round pick and Berglund, which probably won't be much. It's probably just a body coming that way for contract purposes. Sure. But that is another first-round pick for next season. So now they have 2 first-round picks this season, 2 first-round picks next. Sorry, that's not this season, but this draft and the next draft. The Sharks could flip those and move up at some point.
How do you move up past first?
Well, I mean next season. Assuming they're not first overall next season.
Fine,
I don't even know if they will be this season, but it's just it's great asset management by Mike Grier yet again. Just 50 games for Walman, and you turn that into a first round.
It's nuts.
That's a second and a first round.
That's
for
truly
your troubles.
Yeah, truly bonkers when you put it that way. That he's only played 50 games. It's not just that we took this player on, we rejuvenated him, and then we were able to flip him, kind of like with Blackwood, right? This is a guy that's suited up for 50 games. Because he was injured. Now, normally when a guy gets injured in a season, his value kind of dips a little bit, and then he comes back and you kind of got to prove yourself that you're worth that. I mean, Walman did exactly that. And for him to only play 50 games and for Grier to flip him into what he was able to get out of him, that's just insane asset management. Really well done, seeing through what other teams didn't believe in or whatever, right? And being able to take that player and use him. I mean, I think that's going to be a theme with one of the other guys that's coming up that people aren't very happy with.
Right.
But
well, I don't think there's a lot of people happy with this one either. Because Walman was kind of a surprise. For me, that was a surprise. I didn't expect him to get moved, at least this season. But that's probably why it was a first-round pick and not a second-round pick. Yeah. Because he has an extra year on his contract. So he's signed through next year and will be with Edmonton next year. That is the reason why Edmonton kind of had to pay higher for him. And I don't think he was on the trade block necessarily. Now, I don't think the Sharks probably like, Celebrini, no. Will Smith, no.
Yeah.
Eklund, probably no.
No.
If the price is right, here's what the price is for those guys, if you're even thinking about it. Nobody's going to be thinking about it, right? Mm-hmm. So those 3 guys, let's just say those 3 are off the table. Ascroft's probably another one that's off the table because they just got him, and that's their future. So those 4 guys off the table. Everyone else, talk to me, right? Like, I'm open if you want this. Now, what I think Mike Grier does a great job is he values his players. Players like this, non-rental players, right? Jake Walman's a perfect example. Non-rental. Rental meaning it's the end of their contract. They get something for nothing. Yeah. Walman has another year had another year with the Sharks, so they didn't have to trade him. They didn't have to move him. But their analytics team, the Sharks analytics team, goes, this is what he's worth. If we can get this, and they know other teams' prospects and their draft picks and what they have and what those are worth. So this is the price. So when they call Mike Grier, he has all the information in front of him. And he's like, yeah, this is what it's going to cost to get Jake Walman in your case. And they're like, okay. Then they work from there. So I think Mike Grier has done a fantastic job, obviously, in asset management, but he's not alone. He has an entire team working behind the scenes doing all this stuff. I think way more than Doug Wilson in his era did. I think Doug Wilson was more of a relationship kind of guy with all the GMs. And, I mean, they did some analytics, but not on the level that they are right now. So I think this is more of a new school approach versus an old school approach. And Mike Grier, to me, has a very well thought out plan, not just kind of winging it and going, I wonder if I'll be here next year. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even care. No, he's assuming he's going to be there for the rebuild for a long time. And he has all of these players mapped out. And not just going forward, he has players mapped backwards. Because if you look at what he's doing, he's acquiring old first-round picks from 3-4 seasons ago, 5 seasons ago. If you look at the Sharks' actual draft picks from that year, atrocious. None of those guys are playing in the NHL. So he's getting guys in different class years to kind of spread out the age. So you're not having a big block of guys that are going to be 20, 21, right? That are all going to hit the NHL at the same time. You're kind of spreading it out and you have different classes and different groups. It's interesting to listen to Mike Grier when he speaks because he doesn't speak directly. He says things and you're kind of like, oh, that's a nice rainbow effect. He says things and you kind of pick up little tidbits here and there that kind of give you an eye into what his thinking is and what his philosophy is and everything else. So it's interesting to see. And I didn't get a chance. They had a press conference today at 3 o'clock. So I didn't get a chance to watch it or hear anything that he had to say. But we are going to do a show Sunday, and I'll probably recap some of that stuff. And maybe we'll have clips. Maybe not. I don't know if they're going to record it or not. If they do, we will have some clips for you.
Okay. And then with what you're saying about Grier and Walman, he didn't even know that he was going to be trading Walman. That was one of those things that, again, like you said, they came to him, and it was kind of a surprise to him that he was going to unload those guys as well. When I say those guys, obviously, Zetterlund, we'll get to him in a second here. But yeah, it was one of those things where he's kind of getting it on the fly. Like, I'm not just making the guys available that I want available and then making a trade. If somebody comes to me with, hey, I want Jake Walman, and he knows what the value of is, even if I wasn't planning on trading him, I'm going to hold strong on that. You need to give me this if you're going to pull this player away from me. So again, well done by Mike Grier on this Jake Walman trade here. So moving on, Columbus Blue Jackets end up getting Luke Kunin, the garbage collector. He's gone, folks. Wave goodbye. There he is. It's a nice little pose there. I like that with the stick blade pointing around at the cameras. It's good stuff.
That is nice.
So yes, the garbage collector is gone. In return, the Sharks pick up a 2025 fourth-round selection. This was from St. Louis. I guess Columbus had picked up St. Louis's in some other trade. So, again, when we take a look at, and we'll kind of recap, but we take a look at the picks that he's getting back and the picks that he's giving up. When he's giving up a pick, it's way out in the future. Who cares?
And
we're going to be good.
Rounds too.
Yeah, and you could tell when he thinks we're going to be good.
Yep.
Yeah, right. We're giving him 2027, 2028.
Again,
those ones are gone.
Reading between the lines.
Yes.
Right? He's not saying it directly.
Right.
But you can see the clues.
And the ones that we're gathering are going to be for this year or for the next year, right? So, again, 2025 fourth round selection coming back for Luke Kunin. Not much else to say here. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to have a good player that's going to get into those dirty areas. I'm sure that's something that they needed, obviously, because they picked him up. Anything to say about Luke Kunin?
A great player. The kind of player that you really need to add for a good playoff run. The third and fourth line scoring is kind of the difference maker, I think, in playoffs, because your first and second lines, they're going to be battling against the top defensemen on the other team. Your third and fourth lines are the ones that are going to be playing the lower defensemen. And if they're not as good or not as talented or as deep in that position, then that's where they're going to be able to score and put up some points and win you games.
Yeah.
We look at Barclay Goodrow, right? That overtime win against Vegas.
Yeah.
He was at the time on the fourth line, third or fourth line. Those are your difference makers in the playoffs. When it gets to the seventh game and your top guys are exhausted, you need those other guys to step in there. I think that's what Luke Kunin's going to bring in for Columbus.
Now, no matter how much I love and value Nico Sturm, okay, you did say that you think Kunin was going to bring a better return than Sturm. Technically, you were correct, because a fourth came back, but we had to give up a seventh with Nico Sturm, and we only had to give up Luke Kunin.
Right.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
You've won out by a 7th.
Thank you.
kind of like the Noah Gregor bet. You won out
Right.
by a single goal. That's fine. Okay, just by the slimmest of margins.
I think that bet's going to come back now.
I think it might. It very well might. Okay, moving on from the Columbus Blue Jackets, we have a trade with the Ottawa Senators, and this is the one that everyone's upset about. There he is, your very favorite red tomato-faced assassin. Fabian Zetterlund is gone. It would have been cool if he was playing with Josh Norris, but he's gone. So anyway, yes, Fabian Zetterlund moves on to the Ottawa Senators, along with forward Tristan Robbins from the San Jose Barracuda and a 2025 fourth round selection. I do not know if this was the same one that we got in the previous trade, or if this was from the Sharks. So I'm not sure whose fourth this was. I'm sure someone...
I think it's the Sharks. Because if
it
it wasn't, I think it would say it. Like, I think they would have the team abbreviation with it.
If someone can just double check that and put that in there, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, what was coming back from that... You took the graphic down. What was coming back from that trade is Zach Ospachuk.
Ostapchuk.
That's what I said. Ostapchuk. Forward Noah Gregor. What? And a 2025 second round selection. Now, first of all, Ostapchuk, I'm just going to say it like, Ostapchuk. Anyway, Noah Gregor. Noah Gregor finds his way back to the promised land. For those of you who don't know, it's been something on this show. Oh, there it is. Something on this show where I lost a bet, and Aaron's punishment was he had to buy me a jersey. I don't know how that was punishment, but
to wear it.
I brought that sucker over to the Ottawa Senators game against the San Jose Sharks in San Jose.
Is that
obviously.
this season? That was the season.
It was
right?
earlier this season.
Yeah.
I got him to sign that for me. Big, happy, smiley, burly-looking guy right there. Jeez, that's a lot of facial hair. And so, yeah, he signed that when he was an Ottawa Senator. He was on the team before that. He's on the team after that. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten a signature from a player that played for that team, left, got the signature when they left, and then came back. I don't know if that's a thing.
That might have been Noah Gregor's first time he'd seen his own jersey from a fan and autograph it. That's probably why he was smiling so big. Like, I finally made it to the bigs.
Yeah,
you know?
You know,
someone recognized me and bought my jersey because they love me so much.
You know, and I told him too. I said, these Ottawa fans over here say you got the best flow in the show. What do you say to that? He goes, yeah, okay. So yes, Noah Gregor is back. I know. So mad. Oh, come on, don't be mad. It's okay. You know what?
No, mad about Zetterlund.
Oh, Zetterlund. Okay, yeah. But we'll get back to Zetterlund in a second here because we're talking about Noah Gregor right now. All right. I'm happy for him. I know a lot of people think that there are players that I don't like, right? And I know Smith and Gregor are two ones that people think I don't like. I like Gregor. Here's the difference. I'm just realistic about what they are and what they're good at, what they need to work on, or whatever else. And I've said many times, no, Gregor is a 9-goal scorer at best. He proved me wrong one year, and I got a jersey out of it. Okay, fine. But I just want you to know, Aaron, this season, okay, Noah Gregor has 4 goals in 40 games played. He's got 18 games to go, 6 goals to hit 10. Aaron, do you think he hits 10?
Oh, man. I have to say yes.
You have to say yes now, don't you?
Yes,
yeah. Anyway,
he's going to have more ice time and more opportunities, I think.
He is. I think you're right. I think he's also one of Grier's guys. I think he plays the way that Grier would like guys to play. He's a fast, hard-nosed, I'll get into the dirty areas, and I don't mind taking a bump.
This could be... I'm going to guess he's going to go on the PK since we lost Kunin and Sturm, rather than put Celebrini out there. Yeah. Celebrini will be eventually down the road in a couple years, but I think probably just to protect him a little bit more and to keep the ice time down for Celebrini because it's so high already.
That's what he said. He said, I'm not putting Celebrini on the PK simply for time management purposes. Yeah. He's already playing so much as it is, and he's 18 years old. So I think Nick wants a buy bet.
But I could see Eklund and Gregor on the PK. We might see some shorties.
Yeah, a lot of speed there.
Yes, so I'm kind of excited about it.
The other thing, and you brought this up, and it screwed me up. I didn't realize this, and you were shocked too.
Yeah.
You wanted to say it? Go ahead, fire away.
Noah Gregor's only 26, and he would be an RFA after the season. The Sharks would control his rights. I feel like he's 32.
That's what
26. I thought. He's been in this league for so long, but he started so young with the Sharks.
Like, look at so he's got really great hair, right? but it's receding a bit there.
Oh,
it's coming back a bit. You think maybe the guy's in his 30s?
No, I just assumed because he'd played so many games in the NHL already, for so long. I don't know. It just seems like it was so long ago that he came in the league, but I guess it wasn't that long ago.
He plays like a veteran. That's the takeaway. Yes. He plays like a veteran, right? It's not that the world has been bad to him and he looks a little bit older. It's just he plays like a veteran. You expect that he's a little bit older than he actually is.
Right.
Hey, good on you, buddy, for being only 26 years old.
Grier had to okay it and be like, let's bring Noah Gregor back. And if he wasn't one of his guys, you would say absolutely not.
Absolutely.
And I do think it was probably a body count issue, as in like contracts and stuff, and they had to move him out, and the Sharks needed somebody that's an NHL caliber player.
Absolutely.
I'm not upset with it. I'm kind of happy for it, especially for our show, because now we're going to have a Noah Gregor goal watch every week.
Every week for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Whatever.
No, like I said, I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's back. I'm just not expecting 10 goals. That's all. Okay? That's all. There's no hate there. Just is what it is. Okay. So there is that with the Ottawa Senators. Now, I think what everybody wants to hear about is this Ostapchuk guy. Obviously, not Zetterlund yet. I'm towing this along as long as I can. 21 years old, restricted free agent, signed through 2026. So again, a guy that we have beyond this season. 43 games played. You took the thing down, so I'm not sure how many points or goals he had.
I was trying to pull up what I had sent you earlier, actually.
Oh, okay. So he has 43 games played, only 4 points. People were going, what was he thinking trading for this guy? Drafted in 2021, 39th overall by Ottawa, so he was an early-ish second round draft pick. So there's a lot of promise there, I think, for this guy. And I think maybe people are overreacting just a little bit. I don't know. When we got Fabian Zetterlund, was everybody super pumped and happy about him?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
They were very pissed because in people's minds, especially the team of minor trade, going back to that, they wanted certain prospects coming back from New Jersey, and none of them happened. None of their blue chip prospects came back. And so people were very upset, and they were like, Zetterlund? Who?
Right.
Luke Medulin? That's not what we wanted. But imagine going back to that trade again, the Sharks going for one of those blue chip prospects versus getting both Mook Medulin and Zetterlund. I think that was the right move because you're getting more bodies, more talents, and good talents. In fact, they just flipped Zetterlund for another thing. Right. But on Ostapchuk, this is what I had sent Paul earlier. This is from Dauber Prospects. It's kind of a breakdown on him, and this was written the beginning of this season, so that he hadn't really played any games this season yet. He was Ottawa's 21 second-round draft pick. He's a 6'3" power forward. He completed his rookie season with plenty of promise, scoring 28 points in 69 games. He was rewarded with a late-season call-up where he was scoreless, but he had 13 hits and 6 blocks, so another big body that's going to hit people. He's a promising player that has size, skates well, is physical, has good hands, and is responsible defensively. That's big for a young guy.
Yeah.
He could play wing or center, is a very versatile player. He plays as a power forechecking game and even has a few tilts with Matt Rempe Jr., but he's not a high-volume fighter. More time developing his offensive upside to the AHL is needed, but the 21-year-old has a possibility of cracking a top 6 role, most likely a bottom 6 role player. Their upside comparable, this is like what the best we'll see out of him in his career, is a Sam Bennett player, 25 goals, 40 assists for 65 points and about 70 penalty minutes. So a power forward that's probably on a good team would be on the third line, would be his kind of ceiling, probably second power play unit, not first power play. So a good player, someone who's going to grow with the team, and maybe we'll see him up, but if not, he's going to help the Barracuda tremendously.
Yeah. And notably, his face-off percentage. He's like a 49% face-offs. Again, it's less than 50%. He's 21 years old, right? So he's still on the younger side. So again, a guy that is good defensively as well and projects to be on the third line as a winger. And I was thinking, at first it said he was a center, or he could play center, right? And I was worried about Beasted. But if Beasted is playing alongside this guy, there you've already got kind of that side on the third line shored up.
Beasted's a big guy too,
and he's a big boy.
So much size on the ice.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So I think Grier knows what he's doing. I'm not gonna pull the ripcord and get all panicky just because it's the guy that it's trading a guy that we all really liked. Again, when we first got him, we kind of didn't really know what to think. I'm with this guy. I'm not really know what to think. I'm not really sure about him either, but. again, he's 21 years old. Zetterlund's 25. Now, it's not like Zetterlund's long in the tooth and we're just getting younger, but he's going to take a few years to catch up to where Zetterlund was, and I think by the time that happens, the rest of the team's going to be caught up as well. Mm-hmm. So I think he's still a part of the timeline. Now, I would have loved to see Zetterlund stay, but we don't know. Maybe he wanted to have, more years, or maybe he was asking a little too much in terms of what he wanted, and the Sharks knew that we weren't going to be able to commit to this. Right? I mean, who knows? Who knows what the deal is there?
Yeah, that one took a shock. It was a shock to me.
Yeah.
Seeing Zetterlund go, because I didn't think that was going to be a thing. I'm trying to pull up what Shang wrote. He had talked with his agent, who is Claude Lemieux.
Yeah.
Former Shark Claude Lemieux, and it sounded like they wanted to get an extension going before the season started, and Claude Lemieux and I guess Zetterlund wanted to wait until the end of the season. Probably because they knew he was going to have a good season. Zetterlund was motivated to score more goals and to get a better contract. So he was betting on himself in a way. And then apparently the Sharks had sent over an offer a week ago.
Well, no, in the beginning of the season they sent... Oh, no, I'm sorry, the other way around. You said they sent them... Yeah, and then about a week ago or whatever, they sent an offer.
A week ago they sent, and they countered it, never heard back, and then he got traded.
Yeah.
So were they completely far apart here? And Grier's like, this isn't even going to be close, and I don't want this headache.
Right.
And we know there's interest for Zetterlund, and we can get something for him. Was it we're going to play hardball, and it's kind of a show of force in a way to other free agents that are coming up, to other RFAs and UFAs? Like, hey, we have a plan here. We're not giving out 8-year contracts to anybody. Right. 6-year contracts. Who knows? Maybe it's 4 or less. So that, I don't know. I'm speculating here, but that could have been part of it. So it was a shock to me. I liked Zetterlund. Quadzilla is going to be missed. That guy was awesome. Yes. He was great in the locker room. He fit right in with all the kids on the team. I like the way he played. I think he scores great goals. I think his game has improved since he's been here, and he seemed to have a very bright future. So best of luck to him in Ottawa. I'm going to miss him. I'm hoping that this guy coming in a stop check is going to be good as well.
Yeah,
it's not going to be right away because he's so young. He's going to take some time, and power forwards usually do. But it was kind of a shock to me, and I'm kind of bummed about it. But I'm sure there's a reasoning for it. I just don't know what it is.
You've got one mention here. It's not a trade, but the Sharks did make a signing, and I believe it's Carrier.
Yeah. Oh, the goalie.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, he was, I guess he was unsigned. I mean, they kind of had to do something with their goalies because I think they have Aaron Dell in the system, but he's only signed with the Barracuda, and I think Carrier was the same way. He only had signed with the Barracuda, not with the Sharks, an entry-level deal. So right now, if they were to call up Aaron Dell, they would have to actually sign him to... The Sharks would have to sign him to a contract because he only plays for the Barracuda. So I think same thing with him. So maybe we're going to see him get called up between him, Romanov, and Askarov being the backup to Georgiev. And who knows, if Georgiev gets hurt, then they're kind of in a pickle there of who comes up and who doesn't.
Yeah, last I heard, they said they were going to start ramping up on Askarov, getting him some games in the AHL, and then giving him a couple games in the NHL as well. But you're going to see Romanov playing a couple games, NHL games, until Askarov's done ramping up, and then I'm sure they'll switch. And then I'm sure, again, come the end of the season when the Cuda are ready to go on their run, they'll push Askarov back and give him the opportunity to play there. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't think they can move Romanov because he was up after the trade deadline. Because remember, at 3 o'clock? So I think he's actually stuck on the NHL roster then.
Because they didn't send him back down.
Right.
Yeah, there's a weird rule about that.
Strange rule. Yeah, you have to be on the Barracuda roster at that deadline.
By, was it 12 p.m.
I think it was.
today?
I thought it was 3, but
or 3.
Yeah,
or 12 p.m. Pacific.
Doesn't matter. At some point in the day, right? I think it was at the deadline. That if you're still on the NHL roster, you cannot play in the AHL, which is kind of an interesting, strange rule. I didn't quite realize that.
We won't see Will Smith. We won't see Celebrini. We won't see Eklund. We won't see any of those guys playing that are on the roster right now. Which Graf, I think, is on the roster.
I believe.
I didn't look to see if he got sent down or not.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. Maybe we'll for the next show we'll have that information. Right. Yeah. But anyway, so it's kind of interesting.
One other thing on Zetterlund, I think another reason he could have possibly been moved is depth chart reasons. Right in here, Chernyshov from A Guy and His Dogs. Chernyshov could be in the NHL roster next year. He's got the size and played in the KHL.
Yeah.
I fully believe that, and he's destroying the OHL right now. He's at OHL, right?
He's in the OHL, and he's actually playing on the same team, maybe the same line as Misa, who is one of the top 4 draft prospects for this coming draft. Somebody everybody's drooling over. So he's actually playing alongside him. When we say destroying, he's only got a handful of games. But in those handful of games, the points per game, I think he's actually leading the OHL in terms of points per game. Not so much points, but, I mean, his production is outrageous.
He was hurt, so he didn't play the whole season. Otherwise, he probably would have absolutely been destroying it the entire year and leading the league. What was the other thing? Oh, MJ just said Graf got sent down with Mook Madolny.
Yes.
So they both got...
I had a feeling that they did move him down, yeah.
It makes sense. Like, it makes sense to have those guys for the Barracuda Calder Cup run.
And once I mean, deadline's over, so they can pull him right back up now, but he was on that roster, so he's allowed to go back to the AHL.
What's nice is, like, they're in San Jose.
Yeah.
So it's literally just signing paperwork. They don't have to physically send them on a plane somewhere else and then bring them back, which is nice.
Okay, so I think let's just go ahead and do the roll call, because I see you got the roll call there. So go ahead, fire away with the roll call.
All right, roll call. Tell us what city you're watching from and which trade surprised you the most. And do you think Noah Gregor's going to get 10 goals?
I had to throw that last little bit in there. I don't know if you caught that before the show.
I did.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there you go. So which trade surprised you the most? Aaron, which trade surprised you the most?
Well, we just talked about Zetterlund. Walman a little bit, but didn't surprise me because he was having such a good year.
Yeah.
I mean, Zetterlund was having a good year too, but he wasn't really on my radar. Neither of those two guys were on my radar. Zetterlund, though, really surprised me because he's so much younger, and I thought he was going to be growing with the team. But again, looking at like the depth chart, especially all these guys that are coming that are Grier's draft picks in the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons, three drafts. There's a lot of guys that could potentially be making the NHL roster next year, and the depth chart is just not there. Yeah. So Zetterlund being an RFA, having his contract due, why sign him to something that other teams wouldn't be able to afford in a trade later down the road? Give him a chance to go to another team and play in the playoffs and see where he is, right?
Yeah.
See how he does in the playoffs, in the NHL playoffs, and then let them deal with it and pay for it. So I like thinking about it as we're doing this show. It's kind of like it kind of makes sense about depth chart reasons because there's so many more up and coming guys, especially in the top 6. That's hard.
Yeah,
Zetterlund could fit into a top 6 on a mediocre team, right? On a really good team, he is an excellent third line winger, probably too good for the third line. So I think the Sharks kind of had a little bit of a problem with having Zetterlund in a couple more years or a couple more seasons, maybe even by next season, and getting surpassed by some better talent.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Smith, Celebrini, and Eklund right away. That's 3 players that are going to be in your top 6. And then you talk about Chernyshov and Quentin Musty. I mean, those are 2 more guys that are going to be in that top 6. Now, Bjugstad is going to be that third-line center. That's what they want him to be. And we just got Ostapchuk. And apparently he's going to project to be kind of in that third-line winger, perhaps, or that middle 6. So maybe he is part of that conversation to be playing alongside of like a Musty or a Smith or somebody there, right? So I think you might be right there where we've got guys that are not quite there yet, but maybe they've already got the guys that they want, and once they develop, they're going to take those spots. So yes, absolutely. Why not make the move and get something in return for them? So, and you know, for me, I kind of wonder if there was an issue with the amount of years, not so much the money, right? Just the amount of years. Because again, he's 25. If he's saying, well, no, I want like a 6-year contract or 7-year contract. Well, I don't know that we want to commit that long right now. We've got a lot of guys who want to see if they pan out. If they don't pan out, it would have been nice to have them. But if they do, I don't know that we want to be locked in for 5 more years worth of that, right? So, in retrospect, it's probably not a bad move, right? I think the thing that people are upset about is just the return. There's no big name, right? But again, Zetterlund wasn't exactly a big name when he came over. So we'll have to wait and see how Ostapchuk does, and we'll see if it's down the road, if we feel that it was worth the trade. And we'll also have to take a look at Zetterlund and the contract that he gets next. Yes. Because if he gets a 7-year contract or something like that, well, now it makes a whole lot more sense, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on from all that, unless you've got something else. Well, you're laughing over here.
CJ's giving me some grief because I didn't skip over. We were just talking about other stuff. They wanted to know, He wants to know what happened because I was supposed to be in Colorado. I was
Yes.
supposed to be in Colorado. I was supposed to be in the game last night. I did not go ahead and cancel last minute because everyone in my house except me got the flu all week. It was awful. So I've been home staying with the kids and taking care of them, and my wife, who was, I don't need to get into details, but it was pretty bad in the Sholl household. So I did not go to Colorado. I postponed the trip. I will do it some other time to go visit some friends out there. I won't be able to see the Sharks obviously play, but I did call it. That game was going to be disastrous because of the trade deadline, moving bodies.
Right.
You know, different players are out, which Zetterlund played, but Walman and Kunin were held out, and Sturm was gone. I think he got traded that morning, so it was a lot. That's 3 forwards right there that are gone, or 2 forwards and a defenseman.
Yeah.
Well, he's more of a forward playing defense, but yeah. Anyway, I did not go. So.
Really quickly, do you think that Gregor's going to get 10 goals? Honestly, truly, do you think he's going to hit 10 goals?
I can't say yet. I want to see where he slots in the lineup.
Okay.
If he is getting 16 minutes.
Do we have enough players for it to matter?
Right. Well, he's probably going to get a lot of minutes. 15 minutes.
But who's he playing with is my point.
I don't know. I'm assuming he's going to be third line, and I'm assuming he's going to get shorthanded penalty killing time. Okay. I will answer that next week's show. A kind of unfair answer, I'm sorry. But I just want to know where he ends up.
I'm going to say it doesn't matter. He's not getting his 10 goals. He could play alongside Macklin. I don't think he's getting 10 goals.
What if he plays with Macklin?
If he plays with Macklin, I still don't think he's getting 10 goals because I think Macklin's going to do the majority of the scoring. But that's me. Regardless.
Part of the other problem is not having Walman out the back getting the puck out. I think they're going to have problems getting the puck movement.
Probably.
Getting it out.
And it's certainly not going to be Vincent Desharnais moving the puck.
Maybe Mook Madulin.
You know what, though?
More minutes.
An interesting thing was, what was it called? Benchrates.com, I think was the site that you gave. Check out benchrates.com, by the way. Pretty cool stuff. They're not sponsoring the show, but it's just a cool site. If you punch in the player's name, they give you all kinds of stats and stuff on them. Oh my God. Don't do that. Don't sneak that up on me. Oh my God. So that guy right there, I'm telling you. So the block shots and the hits and everything else, but he doesn't give the puck up much in the defensive zone. Can you guess why? I mean, again, we talked about puck battles the other episode, right? This is a guy that's not going to cuff the puck up. He may not make the best play with it, but you're probably not taking it off of his 6'7", 200 gear god something frame, right? You got to stop doing that. You're killing me right now.
Just bounce off him like a mosquito.
Nightmare fuel. Oh my God. Anyway, super producer Jason actually has a hard stop in less than 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to blow through this as fast as we can. I want to recap, okay? Players coming into the system. Again, don't show the picture, please. Vincent Desharnais, Zach Ostapchuk, Noah Gregor, back again, second tour, way to go. Patrick Gillies, and Carl Berglund. Now going out, Fabian Zetterlund, Jake Walman, Luke Kunin, Vitek Vanecek, Tristan Robbins, and then Paul's emotional support player has gone too soon, Nico Sturm. Moving on from that, we have the draft picks coming in. I think we got a graphic for this one. The draft picks coming in. Oh, don't do that to me. 2025, second and fourth coming in. 2026 conditional first and fourth coming in. And take a look at that. It's a beautiful picture right there.
That's a lot in the top 4 picks.
Add them all up. 2, 1, 1, 2. In this coming draft, we have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds.
It's unfortunate because this draft will not be as strong as last year's and possibly next year's. Next year supposedly has a better draft.
Buddy, we're talking about draft capital. We do not have to use it in that draft. It can be certainly moved and traded.
I agree.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Again,
some of those might get moved and traded around to get to next season.
Right. The guy that you may be able to get with that, right? You go to Chuck E. Cheese, you got the tickets. You don't get the Smarties. You save it up and you get the pinball machine. You see what I'm saying? And you don't do that. Anyway, going out I don't know what year, but a 4th, and I'm guessing it's this year. This is from the Zetterlund train because it wasn't very specific. But anyway, it's a 4th.
Nick confirmed it was the Sharks' 4th.
It was the Sharks for this season though, the 2025.
Oh, I don't know. He said earlier.
We're guessing 2025 4th, missing a 2025 second. No, I said that. That was the first thing I said. 2025 second and 4th, 2026 conditional first and 4th coming in. Again, going out, we have the 2025, I believe, Sharks 4th. That was part of the Zetterlund trade. A 2027 7th and a 2028 5th. Again, he's pretty sure we're going to be a good team, so he's just pushing.
Just a 28 5th?
2028 5th.
Wow.
It's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Even show up on.
That's what I'm saying. So, anyway, also the cap change This is not including Granlund, CC, and the things that happened before that. The things that happened before February 1st. This is just after February 1st, so mostly March. $10.125 million in cap space. Where's my... Give me the hurdle. Oh, don't do that again. It's $10.125 million in cap space cleared up. Again, the Sharks don't need that, and they're not obviously going to be doing anything with that because the trade deadline has come and passed. But free agency is around the corner, and being able to sign and trade for other guys that are maybe a little bit more expensive that other teams that are wanting to contend now can't afford, and so they go to the next best thing, which would be an up-and-coming team, not a team that's hanging on for dear life, right? That gives us a little bit more flexibility there as well.
Mikko Rantanen is off the table now because he signed an extension with Dallas with his second trade of the season, which is crazy.
Yeah,
he is
of the month.
He's one of the few people that has played for 3 teams in one season.
Yes,
because it's kind of a rare thing to see a guy.
One of the other guys, you know who the other one of the other ones is?
No,
Vincent Desharnais. Don't you dare. Anyway, because again, Vancouver.
Oh, he got
to
traded
Pittsburgh.
this season.
Vancouver to Pittsburgh.
I thought you said it was January of last year.
January 31st of this season.
Oh, of this year.
I'm telling you.
I thought you were saying a year ago.
10
January
games in Pittsburgh, and they shipped them out.
Well,
to us.
I think Pittsburgh was trying to do one last run, and they realized nope,
it ain't happening.
And then they shifted and said,
Duh!
let's get all these people out to get some draft capital.
So those are the things that did happen. That was the movement that did happen. Now, again, briefly, what didn't happen, Aaron? Macklin Celebrini trade for the Gretzky return did not happen. I know you brought that up last time.
I'm just
don't
saying,
act.
If Gretzky could get traded, then you can never say Celebrini will never get traded.
Wanted to make sure everybody knew. If you watched the last show, it didn't happen. Don't panic, okay?
Well, Shang, if I knew that answer, then I wouldn't have. We would have started off better.
Mario Ferraro, the other one we thought might happen, did not get done. I have no problem with this because Mario Ferraro was signed for a whole nother season. If he gives what he gave this season and we're not playoff bound and they're not going to extend him and he wants to move on, I don't think he does. I think he wants to stay a Shark. It's kind of weird, masochistic. But anyway, no, I'm serious. He said this before. I feel like I've got something left here to prove.
I feel like every player says that.
Well, maybe. But hey, is what it is. Anyway.
I don't, to me, players don't really care. Obviously, they don't want to pick up their stuff and move across country. They want to play in the NHL. That's it. Full stop. They don't care what team it is. They don't have any loyalty to the team or the crest on their jersey because it's a job. It is their job. And any 32 places that will pay them to do the job, they're going to play there. Doesn't matter. Obviously, they want to win a cup. Obviously, they want to compete. That's just icing on the cake. You don't get paid in the playoffs. So it's not... that's more of a pride thing. But players want to play in the NHL. They want to stay in the NHL.
I think he's got a really good chance of staying in the NHL
if
he plays for the San Jose Sharks, though.
Apparently the ask or the price was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams were like, apparently he was close going to, was it Colorado?
All I know is whichever team didn't take him because they were worried about losing their first is going to be really upset when they play and they don't have a guy blocking shots and goals go in when they're shooting past their defenders. Because that's what this guy does. He blocks shots, and he gives you everything he's got. He is Nico Sturm on defense.
But he doesn't have to be the shot blocker anymore.
Doesn't have to be.
Because Desharnais.
Oh, yes. Desharnais. That's a couple... Dang it. You just... There's a couple guys. I need the French baguette. You know?
I need
one of them
is Sharks jersey.
One of them's not even... Yeah, I know, right? That's part of the scary thing is the Pittsburgh jersey.
He's going to stick out like a sore thumb on the ice, on TV and in person, because he's so large. There's a couple of guys like that are just going to be like, whoa. They stand out so much. It's too bad he's going to be wearing a helmet, too.
He's got the same look as you, I think. He's got the dome going on, right? Let's one more time. There. Go back to Aaron now real quick. Can we get... No? Oh, my God. Anyway, okay. Mario Ferraro did not go. The other one was Georgiev. We thought for sure in the beginning of the season,
yes,
or not beginning, but when we got Georgiev, we thought for sure this is going to be a trade piece down the road. We're going to get him. We're going to flip him just like we did Blackwood. It's going to be fantastic. Unfortunately, Georgiev did not play himself into a position to even garner the consideration to get traded. That honor went to Vitek Vanecek.
Yeah, I think it's still on the table. Only because he could
finish... it's off the table because it's 3 p.m.
Well, no, he could finish the season out and they could trade his rights during the draft.
Sure.
Like some team would be like, here, I'll give you a 5th round pick.
Right.
6th round pick, whatever. Something, right? So that they could start negotiations with him.
Yeah, I mean, he is a UFA at the end of the season, so you could trade his rights, but you're not going to get much of anything for that because you don't own anything. You just own the ability to talk to him.
It's better than nothing.
100% on the return.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing, 100%. Okay. Anything at all with New York Rangers? That was the other thing that did not happen, was anything at all with the New York Rangers. Now, the reason I wrote this down was because we had the Barclay Goodrow claim, right? And your whole contention on that was the Sharks did New York a solid. It's going to come back to us. And it may still come back to us. And that is a question that I do have for you is, are we still... The good karma that we put out in the world for New York Rangers, are we going to get that back? Yes or no? Because it didn't happen this trade deadline.
Maybe. You never know in the draft. They can move up in the draft for a relatively cheap price.
That is true.
Or they can move down and get some assets. Like if they go, you know what, we don't need this. Was it Dallas's pick? Is it Dallas or Pittsburgh? No, whose pick is it? We have somebody's first round pick. Dallas's pick from
Granlund.
That's for this season, this draft. Is the Dallas pick. They could be like, we don't want this. The player that we want is gone, that we were targeting around this area, so it's better to move down. Maybe they'll trade with the Rangers and the Rangers move up a little bit. Or move, I don't know, whatever. It's still on the table. It'll always be there.
Sound like
We just stunk.
It sounded like we're just helping them more now.
No, because they could send a player for that pick, right? So they may overpay to get that pick.
Sure.
It'll come. Good karma.
Guys, I don't know if there's really anything else to say. Aaron, we want to go through some comments real fast because we burned through a whole bunch, and I know Jay's got to get moving here. But why don't you fire away with any of these comments? Anybody in the chat that said something that stood out? To you,
Some
maybe?
questions about the draft and the lottery for this season.
Yeah.
So yes, the Sharks are in last place. Who knows? They might leapfrog Chicago between now and then. Maybe, maybe not, because Chicago's pretty close to the Sharks down there. And Sad Bedard is so funny to me. And someone corrected them about you can only win it twice in a row, right? The lottery. The Sharks, did they technically win the lottery? I guess they won the lottery last season because their number was picked.
You still have to win it. You just have the best odds.
Right.
Where you place is just how much odds you get.
So they could win again. So they are going to go into the lottery and they could win the first overall pick again.
Right.
Or they could not win it. Somebody else could win it. So if that happens, then next year they'd still be eligible to win. You can only win 2 in 5 years, I believe it is. So then if you are last place, you automatically go to third, and they're going to do a lottery for the other 2.
No, you would automatically go to you get the second best odds. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry. You'd probably get the first best odds, but you would just lose it until somebody else won it, and then that team would get first, and then
you would get
you'd either get second because you won first and had to get pushed down, or they'd have to go through the whole process again and you'd have to win second.
We haven't really
I don't
seen
know
it yet.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot lie. It was a lot last month, and
Anyway, are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Guys, I hope this provided at least a little bit of therapy. I know it was a lot of information thrown all at once, and we didn't get a chance to really have a good conversation.
Marino wants to know about Couture. I don't think we have an update on Couture.
There's no update on Couture, and I think honestly that's how it's going to stay. I don't think he's coming back at all. Not even just the season. I think he's done, and I think he has. I want to say he has 2 more years after this year on his contract, and Vlasic only has 1 more year. Nobody asked about Vlasic, but he has 1 more year on his contract after the end of this season.
Yeah, but at this point, we need the salary floor.
No, exactly.
So they're keeping him on.
It's really not a problem for him to stay there and do what he's doing. It's okay. Macklin and Smith are going to get big money at some point, and his contract will fall off before that happens. Yep. So that's not a problem. But as far as Logan Couture goes, yeah, I don't see him coming back. He's probably just going to stay on the payroll for the end of this season and the next 2 seasons. I can't imagine anything else happening there. And yeah, it's just unfortunate because he was a fantastic player. For him to go out this way is not the way that he would like to go out. He doesn't want to leave the game that way.
Marina's saying he needs to tell us. I think they're not, because they need his salary cap for the floor rather than going out and spending more money on another player, because since he signed that contract before he was 35, it would fall off if he retires. So they kind of need him to be on IR. And that's why they don't put him on long-term IR, because they need that salary cap floor. Yeah. So real quick, this season, someone was asking about this very early on. The Sharks have a lot of cap space.
Yes.
They're now really far from the basement. They're going to have to do some big spending this summer. So I think they're going to go out and sign some. And there's a lot of big free agents that are going to be on the free agency list.
Right.
So this team is going to look very different. We're not going to see any 8 years contracts or 7-year contracts. But I think we could see something like a Tyler Toffoli. What was that, 4 years?
Yeah.
Maybe a 3 or 4 year contract to one of those guys that's around that Tyler Toffoli type player, veteran who's a very good player and is going to help the team. So, yes, I think the Sharks are going to be spending a lot of money this summer.
I think that's pretty accurate right there. Ruda with 2 T's, actually. Mook Madulin, Ferraro, Thompson, and Thrun, and Pickles. Yeah, I think that's... Well, you missed Liljegren. Yeah. So Liljegren should be a part of that as well.
Yep.
But, it's a revolving door a little bit down there with some of the players. So... Okay, again, guys, thank you so much. 45 million is a guy and his dogs. That's where they are right now in terms of the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Crazy.
Again, thank you guys. Appreciate you being here. I know it's a weird one because of the time of the day and the day itself, right? But it's been a day, and we're just glad that we could share all of our pain with you guys. Again, Nico Sturm, you will be missed. Noah Gregor, welcome back. I don't know if there's really anything else to say about those guys, but all the guys that had played for this team will be missed, of course. Guys, if you'd like to support the show, you can do that right there. Tip us Venmo at The Fin Factor. You can also use the super chat function or go to thefinfactor.com. Check out any of the merch that we have for sale there. If you're enjoying the stream, as he says, please give us a like, a little thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I don't know why. You need to hit that button, or Aaron's going to come get you, or perhaps Vincent Desharnais will come and get you. Dear God. Oh, my God. Anyway, again, guys, appreciate you. For super producer Jason, I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
in 2 days.
In 2 days on Sunday.
We'll cover the week.
Very good. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise